Hello and welcome Sumit to the Success Story series. Please welcome him. And over to you, Sumit. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, ma'am. My name is Sumit and I reside in Pune. I work as a civil engineer at a construction site, which basically is involved in the construction of petrol pumps. And I've been working since 2 years and I've completed my bachelor's in civil engineering. So, yeah, that's all about me as of now.
And why did you take the IELTS test?
A lot of my friends from my college itself were planning to go to Canada, so I was searching for some study destinations abroad. So apparently I looked up to Canada. The education costs are also less, plus giving the PR opportunities. I think this was the best time, as I'm pretty young and I have work experience. Apparently I think I was fitting the pool, so I thought let's give a go at the IELTS generals. So that's the thing. That's the reason. That's my reason to take up this test.
Perfect. Influenced by peers. That's great. And you
Yeah.
took the IELTS general training test. Can you please share your scores with everyone?
Yeah. So this was my very first attempt, and I got 8.5 overall, in which nine in listening, 9 in reading, 8 in speaking, and 7 in writing.
Incredible score. I am really impressed by your score. So it's a perfect 9 in both listening and reading. And in speaking, it's an 8. In writing, it's a 7, which is still great. And it's an overall 8.5. So fantastic job. And we would love to know your strategies now. So one by one for each and every module, how did you prepare? How did you manage your time since you're a working professional? Let us know everything about it.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank all the teachers at Preppy. They really helped me, because getting a 9 in any one of the sections was something that I really wanted to get, but because of your efforts, I was able to do it. So primarily, thank you to you first. And talking about the strategies for listening, it was more like the part of using predictions. Like supposedly, if before the start of the audio, I used to more run through the questions, underline the important words, and predict some answers. The supposedly, for example, you could use dash is kept on the table. A lion will not be kept on the table. Some house keys or some fruit or a flower vase would be kept on the table. Something like that. That was the prediction that I used for listening. And apparently I practiced all the books from starting from book number 10 to book number 16. So that accounts for approximately over 20 tests. So yeah.
4 tests are there.
Four tests, four tests, 6 books. So 24 tests. And yeah, that's all about listening. And you have to keep your focus. Prediction is one thing, but maintaining focus, listening to what the audio has to offer, that is really important, I think, for listening.
That's a really great strategy, actually. Prediction is something you do even before the audio starts. So you have to be attentive and you have to predict what could be the answer to a specific question. So be very mindful when you're reading the questions. Don't just sit there and waste those 30 precious seconds that are given to you to read the instructions and the questions. You have to utilize them to understand what could be the content of the conversation that is going to be played in the audio. So don't waste that time and don't, while away by looking at the other students and wasting the time. Be focused and try to predict the answer. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful strategy. What about reading?
Reading, this was the section I was really looking forward to, because I wanted to get an 8 no matter what. So reading, I used to time my sections, as in we have 3 sections. So I used to time every section for this first section being for 10 minutes, second 10, and third 20. That gives a summation of 40 minutes for throughout the test. So you're left with 20 minutes. That is for checking. So that's how I went about. But to get to that 10, 10, 20 slot, I started from 15. So 50. So I used to be so. After coming home, I had my weekends off. My weekends were generally just Sunday, as I had my Saturdays working as well. So starting from 15 minutes, I used to take up section 1. Then I got to the time of somewhere 14 minutes 30 seconds. So that's how I gradually reduced my time. I used to pressurize myself, underline keywords, look for the same words, which will be obviously paraphrased. They are not going to be as they are. And that's how you fit the time slot, and that's how you make it.
Okay, so that's another very important thing that you need to do. So if you are not timing yourself when you're preparing at home or you're practicing the mock test, you'll not be able to finish the test in the stipulated time limit during your actual test. So you
Definitely.
should always pressurize yourself or put that particular timer on your stopwatch and then start taking the test. Now he went to a whole new level when he started completing the test or putting the timer for just 30 minutes or 40 minutes. That is also fine. I mean, that is challenging yourself way more than required. But if you do that, you would definitely be able to complete in 1 hour. So this is also something I recommend, that you start from, let's say, 1 hour, 15 minutes. You complete the entire thing for beginners, right? The ones who are really not sure about how to start the reading test. Take 1 hour, 15 minutes in the very first practice test. By the third or the fourth test, it should be 60 minutes exactly. And then after the fifth, sixth test, what you can do is you can keep it at 55 or 50 minutes. So that way, if you are practicing at home and you're completing all 40 questions in 50 minutes, then definitely in your exam, even if the test is difficult, even if the passages are really difficult, you'll be able to complete them in 60 minutes. So that's how you time yourself or train yourself according to the situation. Perfect. And I still cannot believe, I think he's lying, that he just mentioned before the interview that he completed his test in a matter of 40 minutes, I guess.
40 minutes.
So that's pretty unrealistic to me.
Yeah,
but
and
then
20 minutes I was at for the first 10 minutes out of the 20, I was just checking my answer, and for the last 10 I was just looking at other people who were struggling to make it. So yeah,
he was, see his pleasures. He was really happy that
yeah, because I worked to get to that time slot. So I think that I wasn't that. So, and one more thing I'd like, yeah,
please continue.
and one more thing I'd like to add. Generally, reading within a couple of question types, maybe true and false and fill in the blanks, they're always set out in an order. So you just have to figure out the order. Once you figure out the first one, second, third, fourth, they follow. So I think that is the most important thing. That will save you a lot of time. That's how, yeah. It occurred to me when I was, I guess, practicing my fourth or fifth test. So that's the way I could gradually cut down on time. And that's really important because people struggle to finish a paper sometimes. So
absolutely correct. So that will help you in figuring out the answer. Let's say you figured out the answer for the fourth question and the sixth question, but you're confused or you're not able to locate the answer to the one in the middle. So it will obviously fall in those lines. So if the answer to question number 5th is here and question number 7th is here, 6th would be in some lines here.
Right.
Obviously, in case of questions that come in the same order.
Right.
So that is something you can keep in mind. And of course, practice under time pressure. Moving on to writing.
Writing, it was all, if I were to say, there are two tasks, task one, task two. Task one, I was actually practicing before I started with the classes, because letter writing is something I was taught in a very different fashion, and in Ielts, it's a totally different ballgame. So I used to look up on a couple of websites. I used to practice, but when I got my letters evaluated by Ken ma'am, so I got to actually understand where are the flaws, and there were countless flaws. So I had approximately 5 letters evaluated, and by the 5th letter, I was getting a response that I have used a lot of complex sentences as well as collocations, which was a drastic improvement from the time I really started. And for task 2, it's all Lisansi Sharma ma'am. So because of her, because of all her techniques, pestle to be precise, that is the most important thing in writing task 2, getting your base points and everything. So because of Lisansi ma'am, I'm really in depth of her always. Because of her, I was able to get a perfect 7. If not for that, I wouldn't be making it. Definitely.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much. So again, practice is the key here. So after practicing, you would get the feedback from the trainers. The trainers will tell you your weak areas and all the 4 parameters, and they'll tell you how to improve in those parameters where you're lacking in. And you just have to work on those specific areas and keep improving after each and every writing that you submit, keeping in mind the feedback given to you in the previous one. So the basic strategy here is to not make the same mistakes that you made in the last writing. Just
Definitely.
keep on improving. It's a step-by-step process. And I personally feel that 10 writings are more than sufficient to reach a level of 7. So even if you start at 6 bands or 5.5, if you keep getting the feedback after each and every submission that you make, you can easily score around 7 or 7.5 by the time you reach your 10th submission, 10th or maximum
Definitely.
15th submission. So that's good to go. I mean, more than sufficient. Okay, finally coming to the speaking part. Again, an amazing score, an 8. How did you
Yeah.
manage?
And speaking, like I got some inputs from my friends, like how to go about the speaking section. So the one major thing that students miss probably is they answer their questions in a single line. So I think that is the biggest flaw, and I did get used to that. Then I had my mock test with Pavandeep ma'am, in which I got a lot of valuable inputs. So taking those inputs, I think that propelled me to a good enough score of 8. So I think that's really important, not to answer in one line. That is what
Yes.
IELTS basically tests you. You should have content. That's all they want to hear.
Yes, they want to listen to you. So if
Yeah,
it's a speaking test, obviously they want to hear you. They want to listen to what you have to say. And if you don't have the content, you will not be able to speak as much. And that's the reason we always emphasize on elaborating. Whatever you're talking about, elaborate it, use complete sentences, give examples, and build up a background story so that you have more things to talk about. And same goes for your writing test also. If you don't write the minimum amount of words that are required to be written, or you do not follow the word limit, which is 150 in the task 1 and 250 in task 2, then again you're penalized because you're not giving them enough content, or you're not giving them enough words to read. And if you're not giving them enough words to read, they will not be able to evaluate you. So
definitely.
so you should have enough content that can be evaluated properly, and they can give you a proper score for that. So that's the basic idea, and that's the reason cue card round is also important. They want to hear you for 2 minutes at a stretch. How
Right.
much can you speak at a stretch without any fumbles or without any unnecessary pauses?
Right.
So perfectly fine. Any other strategies that you want to share with the future aspirants? Any other advice?
Practice, practice, practice. That's it.
Practice, practice, practice.
You have to
Okay.
pressurize yourself, because that 8,777, it's a make or break situation. So you you got to do what you got to do. So yeah, practice. That's it.
Absolutely. You got to do what you got to do. And one final question, was this paper based or computer delivered?
It was paper based, ma'am. As I don't know much about other people, but I am used to writing manually and not typing on the computer. And
You're
I
the
did,
rare kind. You're the rare
yeah.
kind in this era.
No, I'm the typical 90s kid. So maybe like that. That's better. So a lot of my friends took up computer-based tests, and I tried to look out for the same. For me, reading was very hard. Like they come in parallel screens, so that it's kind of difficult to focus, and you don't get a chance to underline. And the
Hmm.
mouse is really not helpful. That it doesn't give the physical touch. So I'm like, I'll stick to writing. This is the thing I know, and this is the thing I've been doing since
Yeah,
school.
since
So
school,
yeah,
exactly. School and college exams have always been pen and paper.
yeah,
So that's the reason, right? And also it strains your eyes. So it's again
exactly.
personal preference. So if you are comfortable with using a laptop, especially if you're from the IT sector, then all you do is sit on a laptop
It's,
the
right.
entire day, I guess. And that creates this habit of using or looking at the screen. So it should not matter to people who are used to using screens, but the ones like you who are not really up to that kind of a level,
Right.
of course, go for the paper-based test. Choose the one that you're comfortable with, because ultimately the content, the difficulty level, the scoring, everything remains the same.
The
All
same
that changes is that the same thing is picked up from the paper and put it on your screen. That's
screen.
it. So that's the only difference. And yeah, of course, apart from that, the results are much faster in case of your computer delivered
Computer
test. So
based.
if you have to meet a certain deadline and you're falling short of that, then of course I would ask you to go for the computer delivered test.
Right.
Okay, perfectly fine. Thank you so much, Sumit, for joining us. Thank you so much for sparing your precious time here and giving us the insights into your preparation strategy. All the very best for your future. And in case if you need any help with respect to your PR process, I'm always here. So send in your documents and we'll take it.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you to all the faculty members at Preppy. They're wonderful, and I would still say Lashansi ma'am, because of her I made it. I definitely say that always. Thank you once again.
Thank you from her side, and bye-bye. Take care. Have a nice day.
Thank you, ma'am.